So, test, test, test. Let's see if this stream is coming through. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So, hi everybody and welcome to the Lightning Hacksprint here. Yes, it's a little bit different than what we know usually. Normally we had planned the Barcelona Hack Day, but yeah, everybody knows we have to adapt and do something differently. And we were thinking about how can we put a whole hack day into the internet, and then we were thinking, maybe that's a little bit too much. We want at one time, so maybe we start a little bit smaller. And the idea was then to do, instead to do in a hack day, we do in a hack sprint. And the idea of a hack sprint is to have a little bit smaller event, a little bit more focused on programming, on coding, getting some stuff done. But it's also not just for coders. Also, people that just like to test out stuff are very, very welcome. Also, people that like to document a little bit the features and tools that are around in the Lightning sphere. That's all perfectly fine. And just join and try if you're able to find a good spot for that. So yeah, it's a little bit smaller. And the idea was because we have so much projects going on, we were seeing this over the Lightning Hack Days. A lot of projects are spinning up. And the idea was not to do just a hackathon to come just up with new ideas. The idea was more like with a hack sprint to help those projects out there in the Lightning sphere to continue and to improve and to get better and to help to connect them with new people that can help on the journey. So that's the idea of the hack sprint, and I hope this is a good starting point now for this online journey that we then can experiment on and maybe more and more turn into a hack day experience online somehow. So good that you're here, and let's kick it off. And the idea is really now to start, and the base point or the main point to all join in is our wiki. So when you join the wiki.fulmo.org, that's kind of where you find all the information about the hack sprint you need. And I will now guide you through a little bit and to give you a good starting point here. So if you join, you will see the basic time schedule. We already had a warm up starting 2 hours ago. If you missed that, that's not critical. This was more like to test the infrastructure. We had a Jitsi call where over 20 people joined. This was more like a stress test for our server and a little bit like for everybody to experience the video call Jitsi experience. And the best takeaway from there is, so if you join a Jitsi call, just mute yourself, turn off the video in the beginning, especially if a lot of people are in the chat. So and then just if you want to say something, you just unmute yourself. And there's also this nice idea of a push to talk. So if you hit the space bar, you have a push to talk thing so that you can easily just give a quick audio feedback for somebody. And if you want to show something, of course, there's the possibility in Jitsi to share your screen. So this can come in handy now for the maybe smaller Jitsi sessions where people want to show stuff and show code and get people a little bit more easily starting into their project. So that was the warm-up call, and we also had some good music, so I hope everybody at least got into the spirit. But now the kickoff is really kind of the starting point, and I try to give you all the information needed to get you going. And then we will have the weekend, and the weekend is for yours to do. There are no strict rules. We just try to give you a framework that you can maybe operate in. We'll show you later a little bit in detail. And then we would try to wrap it up on Sunday around 8 p.m. Berlin time. So check out what's your local time on that. And then we will try to gather all the kind of things that were happening, put them into one cast. There will be a lightning roundtable, a special edition to give you kind of an overview what was happening. So that's kind of the basic time layout. And of course, there are always self-organized sessions that are happening while with the kind of extended time schedule I will show you in the end. The most important thing beside the wiki is, I think, our Fulmo MetaMost. This here you find the link in the wiki. It's in a kind of open source Slack where you can join, and please join if you want to participate in the Hacksprint, because there is kind of all the coordination happening between the projects. And also, if you have questions about the Hacksprint, that's the place to ask, and we were happy to answer your questions. But of course, chat is not always sometimes you need more this personal touch, and this is why we have the Fulmo Jitsi server for you, that's self-hosted video chat. And this is the idea. You can just go here to Fulmo Jitsi, or it's like meet.fulmo.org, and you just open up. You can open up a room, create a room for your project, or for your discussion group, or for your self-organized session, and then you get a link. And then please share this link in the MetaMost and let the people know, or add it to the wiki, where people then can find your room and join your session. So I think this comes in handy just in case. It works good for people up to 5 to have everybody talking or on video. But if you get more people, again, please follow a little bit more disciplined way to mute yourself, and also put out your video to save on bandwidth for everybody. Also, one little thing we just kind of experienced, Jitsi works best in Chrome. Sometimes if one Firefox user is in there, it seems to make it more difficult for the server to serve everybody. So if possible, I know at least use for Jitsi, try to use a Chrome browser. Yeah, but these are the most kind of platforms and tools we use. Of course, there's a lot of coding and GitHub stuff going on, and this we can see in the challenges. The challenges, if you follow this link here, you get an overview over all the projects that kind of signaled us to participate in the Hacksprint. And I will give you a short overview. In general, how to participate is like if you, for example, like a project or interested in a project, you go onto the MetaMost, and you should find, for every project, you should find a chat room here linked, but you should also see it listed in the MetaMost. And just join this chat room, ask your questions. Again, if you join a chat room, it doesn't mean you're fixed on that project. It's really more like a room you can enter, ask questions, see if this fits your interests or skills, and even if you don't think you're absolutely free to check out, to leave a chat room again and check something else out. So don't feel bound by your first choice. So just the idea is more to get an overview and to see, and then coordinate with the mentors. We hoped that it was able to get for every project the mentor into the chat room. So, and coordinate with the mentor what are the challenges exactly, try to pin that down, and then just going, get coding, get productive, and and then we will see where we are Sunday. Let's give you a little bit overview over the projects. Of course, that's the project Raspberry Blitz. That's where I'm the lead developer. That's for sure one project you can work on. If you have a Raspberry Blitz at home, that's even more perfect to hack on. And just for example, you can see here like the GitHub issues labeled with hackathon. Those are the challenges to follow. So if you open up the this link here, this should lead you to the GitHub page, and open up exactly just the issues that are labeled with hackathon, or you can just search on the issues on the GitHub for hackathon labeled issues. And here you can see there's a list of issues on GitHub that are challenges for you to participate in. There's sometimes a little bit bigger issues that maybe make sense to coordinate with other people and to form a little group on that. But there's also stuff that you would be able to do on your own. And it's also no problem if there are multiple people kind of doing one thing, but try to at least coordinate. So if you take a challenge, let us know on the chat room, or let the project mentor know in the chat room, and also on the GitHub, write a short message there that you want to join, or at least interested to work on, so that people can coordinate on that. For example, there are really small stuff to do. For example, there's some performance testing that you can add to the stress test of the Raspberry Blitz script. And to get you a little bit more better started, the idea is really in the beginning, go to the chat room and then let the mentor give you a little bit more details on the challenge and how to get started, even to help you maybe on the setup to do. So that's the kind of thing that should happen after this kickoff video. So let's go through the other projects. The Raspberry Blitz, I think, just again, for somebody who's not knowing, it's a Lightning node on a Raspberry Pi, having LND and a Bitcoin full node on there. So if you have a Raspberry Pi on there or at home, maybe that's a little bit you should have already a good setup to join here. The other project is Lightning ATM. This is the self-built do-it-yourself coin ATM. Let's give it a look. I think here's a good picture even. So right, this is the one, very beautiful. And yeah, I think if you're interested, I think there is a Raspberry Pi Zero in there working there. So if you're a little bit into that direction, that could be a good idea. If you have experience with displays, display controlling on a Raspberry Pi, or hardware controlling, a little bit more hardware hacking, then this is, I think, a good fit for you. Ask in the project, even if you don't have the hardware at home, how is it possible maybe to help out and code on that. So yeah, and if you want to interested, as always, should always be the link to the chat room here. Then there is this Allen Bits. That's a project from Ben. It's always also a feature that's on the Raspberry Blitz that you can activate, but you can also, I think, work on it without having it on a Raspberry Blitz. Ben will be happy to help you to set it up. The idea of the Allen Bits is a bit of having a layer on top of a Lightning node or a Lightning funding source, where you can very quickly have kind of instant sub-accounts. And manage those funds on those node or on that funding source, and then have kind of plugins on top of that can do things with that. For example, having a vouchers that you can give away and print out, giving to people, and a little bit like that. Just check it out. Get into the details here. I think it's programmed in Python, so it's a Python thing. So that should be a basic skill that you should bring. Then you maybe check out the Allen Bits. There is RTL, the Ride the Lightning. I think most people know it. It's a good web front end on that you can use to manage your Lightning node, LND and C Lightning. There's an abstract layer now that is possible. I haven't been able to get back today with Swap, but just join the chat room, and maybe you have to ping him on Twitter to get some details what issues and challenges are out there. But maybe this gets a little bit more detailed over the day. And then there's this quickening. The quickening, most people maybe know it from the Room 77. It's a point of sale. So let's take maybe a quick look also at it. The M5 stacks, it's called in the beginning. So for example, this is how it looks, the point of sale device we use at the Room 77 in Berlin at the Bitcoin meetups to let people pay their beer with Lightning, and works quite well. We get good response on that from the bar staff. It seems to be a good solution to have it running in a bar environment, and even have it for untrained staff to work with it. So there's a lot of stuff that could be improved. There are two versions. There was a lot of experimentation going on with this concept. So there's this M5 stack, this version. There's also a do-it-yourself where you can build really right up from an ESP32 and have a 3D printed case for it. There was a lot of experimentation. This all now got put together we try to refactor it into one. So you have to follow this payment connector branch, and then you have to go into the quickening. And this is our first refactoring to kind of make one source code base that can be used for all those devices, and this would be the code base to work on. And what's to work on, just to give you a quick overview here. if you go into the issues, you can find issues that are called Room 77, and those are the challenges for this hack sprint, if you like, to work on. These are all kind of user feedback we got through our testing that people asked what would be nice to be improved and to get a better experience to pay at the bar. Yeah, I think so far for the quickening, there's a little bit more. It's most of them is a C code kind of language that's used on hardware tinkering. Then there's Light Night. That's a game that's developed very kind of nice, like a Fortnite game where you can then get bounties and then play for Satoshis. As far as I heard, there is an issue page here where mostly it's kind of testing stuff and giving user feedback. So if you're not maybe a programmer, more on the testing side, and like to try stuff out, get in contact here. Also, I think the mentor is not yet in the chat room, but maybe have to ping on Twitter. But possibly over the weekend you will also get some challenges done here. Then there is the Spectre desktop. The Spectre project, there's a Spectre do-it-yourself hardware wallet, and they also did desktop administration web interface that looks very, very nice. I'll give you a quick overview here, for example, to see if this plays. Come on. Yeah, here we go. So it's an idea to give you a web admin place where you then can use multiple different kind of hardware wallets and combine them in a multi-sig way. For example, you can use the do-it-yourself Spectre, but you can also use Coldcard or Trezor or something like that. So this is maybe a nice thing to play with. The challenge is a bit. There's the basic on the Raspberry Blitz 1.5. There's a release candidate out now, and it contains the Spectre desktop that you can install on a Raspberry Blitz, for example. And the idea is really to test it out, report back things that still needs to be improved or need to be fixed, and give maybe a little bit more documentation how to use it. So this would be one challenge to go, and maybe go to the chat room and ask the mentors if there are more details to work on that. There's also the idea of doing a Tor to IP tunnel service. So this is a area or a solution that a lot of Lightning nodes out there would like maybe to use. For example, there's the Raspberry Blitz that's interested in that, but there's also the Bitbox base from Shift Crypto there that with Staticus we're talking about. It would be nice to have such a service. The basic idea is when you run a node at home, it's very hard to figure out the port forwarding. Even sometimes your internet provider is not allowing you to get a public IP and is kind of netting you behind or hiding the node in your local network. Tor is always great to activate, so Tor gets out of those net situations, but it's not nice for everybody because not everybody out there can connect to Tor nodes. So it would be nice to run your node behind Tor, so you get the privacy benefits, but having a service somewhere out there, an open source service that everybody can install and offer to you, that gives you an IP and a port address, and then you can and you rent it, you pay it directly with Lightning for a day or for a week or for a year, whatever. And then you can use this IP address and this port as a public address to the outside. But the service itself doesn't know who you are because you're behind Tor. It just forwards you those connections to your LND or your C Lightning node. So this interesting. I think MZ is here, one of the mentors, working on this and giving you feedback. So again, here's the chat room. Get in there and ask a little bit like what's to do. Just one basic thing here. You can see this project already has a subpage. So this is a little bit the idea. If you're working on a project and you want to document stuff, you're very free to open a subpage on the wiki and link it to your challenge here, so that you have a place where you can put more, collect with the team a little bit more details. The wiki is open for everybody to edit, at least the subpages. So yeah, that's a good idea to do a subpage at one point if you're doing a little bit more documentation. Then there's the Send Money app. It's a mobile wallet that's, first of all, working like a remote wallet on your as a mobile wallet that you can connect with your LND, a little bit like you could do with a Zap wallet, mobile wallet, for example. But it has the very interesting feature. I think that's the kind of focus here, that you can chat over key send with it. So key send is the possibility to send data over the Lightning Network, and this is used then to make a chat a little bit out of this. So the challenge would be like to also connect this app to the Raspberry Blitz and make it easy to pair it with it, and also fix some little details that are still needed to be fixed. So if you're a little bit on that area, that's quite nice. To go there. I think here it's built with the Flutter network that I'm not very familiar with it, but if this rings a bell to you, then that's definitely something to go for. So what we also have the wiki lightning spam protection. This comes a little bit from the Fulmo side. So the idea here is to when we first set up a wiki, we wanted to have it very open for everybody. Yes, there are some spam protections where you have to put little solve little puzzles or something. That's okay, but why we have everybody's here is using Lightning. So there is the prototype for MediaWiki to so that if you edit a site, you pay a little satoshis, and this gives you a kind of a paywall protection and spam protection. The idea would be to investigate this prototype a little bit more and maybe turn it into a really MediaWiki extension. That would be the challenge, because that would be so nice then to have it easily install it and add it to your MediaWiki and configure it maybe with your Lightning node. So that's getting more easy for everybody to use that kind of spam protection for your MediaWiki. Then there is the Eye of Satoshi. That's the idea here to have a watchtower. But it's a watchtower implementation in Python 3. So if you're a Python person and you're interested in building on helping on a Lightning watchtower, that's something here for you to do. Then there is the from Exchange Union. It's an open DEX, an open exchange protocol working with swaps. So if you're interested in C Lightning and swaps, so this is maybe something for you to go. Then there is experimental idea to see if there's some routing stuff you can do with C Lightning. So haven't been able to get into much detail here. But if you're interested in C Lightning plugins and testing routes, this is definitely also interesting here for you. And then we have a Rust Lightning Network node. So this is a kind of new node implementation. So in Rust, if you're really interested in the bold standards and see how they translate into implementations, I think this is something, and especially if you're very interested in Rust, this could be a good place for you to hang out and see how you can help them. There's also the We node. That's a project from Stefan. The idea is to use old Android phones and use them as Lightning nodes. So this is definitely interesting if you're an Android tinkerer and if you have an old Android phone at home and you want to see how far can you go with it. That's definitely interesting to go here. And then there is from Christian Decker a challenge or at least he wants to work on the backup plugin for C Lightning. This is also interesting if you're a C Lightning interested and you're into C Lightning plugins. This is definitely a good place to hang out with Christian Decker and get a good knowledge and good intro how to do plugins for C Lightning, and then you find a good spot where you can help out and help on a little detail here to get it going. Oh, interesting. There are even new challenges I haven't seen here. That's nice. Low bandwidth Lightning channels. I haven't seen this exactly, so also have to see. Too much text for me now at the moment to pass through. It looks like there's a GoTenor. This is a GoTenor based project. So if you're a little bit into GoTenor, this could be interesting. And there's a coin swap DLC. Okay, I think this was from Nicola. This is if you're a little bit more really into the crypto kind of things and like to play with ECDSA. So this is also maybe a good place to start. Still, even so, this wiki page is still open to add more challenges. So I also it's still possible to add something here. But please, if you add something, maybe just today, in the next kind of hours, that's okay. Let people know on the MetaMost chat that you added a challenge, so that people can take a look if they're interested. But I think after kind of 2 hours from now, like after it, it's really hard to add further challenges. We will make another Hacksprint of things at one point, so maybe save also some ideas for a next kind of Hacksprint. Yeah. So these are the challenges. So I hope I was able to give you a good overview. Let's see what's still out there for the Hacksprint. So the other idea is that we have bounties. So we have not that much bounties, but at least some incentive maybe for you to work on projects. There's there's the most code bounty. I personally don't think that most lines of code is a thing of quality, but at least for to maybe to see it in that way for a person that really kind of was cracking a big challenge that is really big and got it finished over the weekend. This is kind of or maybe at least got it to prototype kind of phase for a pull request. And then this is kind of definitely a candidate for the most code bounty. Also, there's the most challenges bounties because there are some small challenges you can take, and it maybe just takes you an hour or two to get to a work and pull request. So, and if you're a person that likes to finish a lot of small challenges and you got a good track record, then maybe your hour here can get a code card from us for the most challenges bounty. And especially because we have code cards to go give away. If you have a code card specific challenge you're working on, for example, the Spectre desktop, there's a code card angle there. You can also maybe qualify for this bounty. And there's a personal bounty from my side. It's called the Schnapps bounty. It's for everybody that's working on the Room 77 point of sale, the quickening, and gets an issue done. That's a good point here for if you get something finished. I promise you we can drink free schnapps at the Room 77 at the next Bitcoin meetup when they are possible again in person. Yeah, you're definitely then invited to get free schnapps from me. Yeah, so as I said, the main focus here is on the coding and on the challenges, but it doesn't mean there's nothing else going on. So we have a section called self-organized sessions. So you can still edit the wiki page and add your own sessions. And here people are free to add surrounding events, online events to the Hacksprint. We have already some talks and discussions going on. Here's a live demo and also a live stream from World Crypto Network that's available for you here. You see the times here. Again, those times are all Berlin times, so make sure you calculate it right to your local time. And as you can see, there's some discussion from Oliver about the LSAT standard. There's about Sergey talking about probing lightning channels, and there are some ideas to get the balance right between privacy and efficiency on doing payments. There is the little bit deeper talk into the Watchtower standard, the Bolt 13, and there is also a little bit more if you're on the gaming side. There is a Bitcoin bounty playtest from Donner Lab. So if you also like to test on that game, so there are multiple games that you can try out. The Light Night thing with the challenge, or here with the demo play, the Bitcoin bounty hunt. And there, Thomas is giving a little bit more like an discussion to think about an idea to have this lightning parcel routing. I'm also not familiar with that concept now, but I'm happy to check it out later on. So those are happening on Sunday then. There's a little bit more deeper look into how you can, or how to grasp the internals of the Eclair node implementation, and maybe even to write plugins there. So there's a discussion going on here. And ongoing over the whole kind of Hacksprint, I heard from Josh, they're setting up a live stream that is commenting on what's happening, like trying to interview people and giving a little bit more insight what people are hacking on. So this is kind of an ongoing live stream that you can follow maybe while you're working on stuff. And also don't forget, then we will have a wrap up on Sunday about 8 p.m. Berlin time. So again, if you're working on a project, so if you want to know when you have a deadline, when we want to do a wrap up about 8 p.m., I will start at 7 p.m. on Sunday to go a little bit through the chat rooms, through the project rooms, collect a little bit the outcomes and results, so that we can present them on the wrap up, on the closing. So if you're looking for a deadline for your project, you're aiming for, so aim for 7 p.m. roundabout on Sunday. All right. I hope I got you a good starting. Again, for the basic start is on our MetaMost. So sign up for the MetaMost. Even if you watch this video a little bit late on the recording, it will be available also later on. First thing to do is joining on the MetaMost, and this is this link here. It's mm.fulmo.org. So, and maybe just one thing, if you want to use the Jitsi platform, sometimes our full server can get full. So if you need another platform for Jitsi, there's also the jitsi.rocks instance where you get kind of free Jitsi sessions. Just copy the link back to our MetaMost, and then you should be good. Okay, so I think that's the start for the Hacksprint. So I will also now kind of go after this kickoff into the chat room for the Raspberry Blitz, and then give you a little bit more details there. Thank you very much, and have a good hack out.